What does true American patriotism mean if we glorify Columbus, a man who never set foot on U.S. soil and opened the door to colonization, while hesitating to give Martin Luther King Jr. the same reverence for fighting to fulfill America's promise of equality?
I would assume Columbus Day would be because Columbus
Why?
was
Columbus
the person
didn't
who,
discover anything here.
because Columbus supposedly discovered America, correct?
No, he did not.
Well, okay, whether that's debatable, but the point is,
Wait, hold on. What's debatable?
Narrative.
He did not discover America. He did not discover America. It's more patriotic to celebrate a white man doing something that he didn't fucking do than something a black man did in America. Today, we're going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be reviewing a debate I had with my conservative friend in regards to multiple different topics. I wanted to touch on this topic in particular because it seems as though throughout our conversation, I don't think my friend really understood what I was trying to explain to him about what patriotism means in America. But let's jump into this. So, all right, I wanted to jump into this, the case of being a black conservative, right?
Yeah.
I would like you to explain, you as a black American, with all that you know, with all that you've heard, not necessarily that you believe, but with all that you heard by the Trump administration and they're racist and blah, 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 blah. Why is it that you are a black conservative?
Well, being a conservative just aligns with the way I was raised in general. Just like a lot of the ideas I've been raised with as a black man. I feel like the conservative ideals are more in line with that. Like I always thought when I was younger that I was Democrat, like, you know what I mean? But then when I started looking at what the actual ideals of the Democratic Party are, or what the liberal ideals were, it's like, for me, it started to seem like on the outside, they're for the betterment of all people. But it seems like really that, to me, it seems like that's really a front for like wanting to control people. So we say, hey, guys, we want what's best for you so that we can put you in a position where we control you. Whereas all of the ideals of freedom that I've known to love America for seem to be the ideas that are espoused by the conservative side. You know what I mean? I also feel as though, from my perspective, it seems as though the conservative side actually has principles. The liberal side just has counter principles. So it's like, it doesn't seem like liberals actually have a platform that they're standing on. It seems like the platform is whatever is the opposite of what conservatives are doing. So if conservatives say, we want to close up the border, oh no, we want to open border. Even if 5 years prior, liberals were saying that they want to close the border, it seems as though the policy of today is always the opposite of what conservatives do. And for me, I just don't feel secure with that type of ideology, because that means it's always changing to be the opposite of what someone else is. And it's like, I don't want to live my life in opposition to someone else. I want to live my life standing on my personal principles. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of things on the left I can't rock with, like surgeries on children. You know, like I don't rock with surgeries on children.
What do you mean surgeries on children? What kind of surgeries?
Gender affirming care. Like the liberal side seems to be very pro gender affirming care, which has to do with basically, in my opinion, genital mutilation of children. I think that's grooming of children. You know, I always constantly hear that the Republican Party is the party of the wealthy. But then you look at all the educated and wealthy people are Democrats. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, is the conservative side really the side of the elites when all of the people in academia, all of the people in upper echelon, like people in academia, which are considered the elite class of people in America, the majority of them are on the liberal side. On my end, it seems a little odd. You know what I mean? Like, and so like the conservative side just aligns with everything that I'm aligned with. I believe in God, Jesus Christ. I'm pro-life. I'm pro-limited government. I feel as though the government, the bigger the government gets, the more resources they take from their people, and the more they try to oppress their people. So to me, I want a limited government. I want liberty to be my decision, my choice. I don't want the government regulating the way I do business. I don't want the government getting involved in my day-to-day. And so conservative side is limited.
Before we continue, I do want to read some comments from my boy, Mr. RGP, because I know he said plenty in there. He said, limited government by having control over women's bodies, that's overreach of government. If you don't like your state, just move. So having to understand that people just might like where they live, or it's just really hard to move. He literally moved the MLK holiday from the national parks. Just because you don't think something doesn't mean it didn't happen or it's not true. Being conservative means to... Hold on. He said, being conservative...
I can respond to that.
Go ahead.
Again, this is what I'm saying when it's a matter of people's perception and not what really happened. He didn't remove MLK Day specifically from the parks. What he did was the theme of the parks changed. And the theme of the parks specifically changed to patriotic holidays only. And so all of the holidays that are free are the patriotic ones, such as July 4th, Labor Day, Flag Day. People were saying, oh, he made his birthday a holiday. No, he didn't. His birthday's on fucking Flag
Same
Day.
day.
So,
Yeah.
so what I'm saying is, it's not that he removed black holidays. It's that the theme of these parks, of what the days that would be free, changed to patriotism. Because what is Donald Trump's theme? America first. Make America great again. So inconsistent with that theme, he said, okay, the days that are going to be free for these parks are the days that are associated with patriotism. That's the only thing that changed. But of course, people from their perception who want to see racism go, oh, see, Martin Luther King Day is not free anymore, so that's an attack on black people. When no, there's a specific reason that that's the case. It's not an attack on Martin Luther King. It has nothing to do with Martin Luther King. But people who are looking for racism and everything are going to find racism.
Can I ask you a question? What is unpatriotic about a black man?
Martin Luther King Day is not is about Martin Luther King specifically. It's about his birthday. It's not about America. His birthday is not about America in any way.
So is Columbus Day? Is Columbus Day still a free day for national parks?
I don't know. But
let's look it up right now.
I honestly don't know.
Let's look it up.
I don't know, but I mean, I would assume Columbus Day would be, because Columbus.
Why? Columbus didn't discover anything here.
Because Columbus supposedly discovered America, correct?
No, he did not.
Well, okay, whether that's debatable, but the point is,
wait, hold on.
What's debatable? Is the official narrative not that Columbus discovered America in 1492? Is that not the official narrative?
No, he did not discover.
So what's the official narrative? What's the official narrative?
I mean, the real narrative is that Columbus went to the Caribbean, right?
I asked you what the official narrative was. What is the official narrative?
I'm about to Google it right now.
Who discovered America?
I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say the narrative that I learned growing up with, because we're the same age. Yes, the narrative I learned is that in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Yes, 100%.
That's okay. So what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? He didn't have a military parade on his birthday. He had a military parade on Flag Day, which happens to be his birthday. That's the point.
Hold on. So Columbus did not land.
Now, listen, it may be a lie. It may be a lie that Columbus discovered the Earth. I mean, discovered.
So America. Then what? So hold on. Hold on.
Let me explain my point first. The point, though, is that the holidays were changed to things that are associated with patriotism. The official story is that Columbus discovered America, which would be a patriotic day. That's the official story.
No, they actually have corrected the story. They corrected it to now.
What's the official story?
The official story is that Columbus landed in the Americas, not America. In the Americas, because they consider that the Americas. You can literally Google it. Did Columbus discover America?
Yeah, bro. But all right. So who's the person that they're saying discovered America? Tell me.
Who discovered America?
Typed in who discovered America on Google, and it said Christopher Columbus is often credited with discovering America in 1492, but he was not the first. Indigenous people have been living in the Americas. But as far as the old world, which was considered
when I read, I just Googled exactly what you Googled. It said later, Norse explorers like Leif Erikson and reached North America around 1000 BC. Christopher Columbus is often credited with discovering America in 1492 because of his voyages initiated lasting and widespread European exploration and colonization. They didn't say that he discovered America, bro. He's credited with it.
Okay, but like I said, the official narrative is the person who gets the credit for it is who? I didn't say nothing inaccurate. I said he's the person who's credited with it.
This helps me.
So
listen.
I'm saying that if he's the person who's credited with it, I'm saying that then that would count as a patriotic holiday. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, okay, all right.
Martin Luther King didn't have anything to do with the discovery or building of America.
Let me just say this. So you're telling me it's a patriotic holiday to lie to us, to tell us that a white person or a person of European descent.
Hold on.
Let me finish my statement. So they're telling us like he did not discover America. He did not discover America. It's more patriotic to celebrate a white man doing something that he didn't fucking do than something a black man did in America. That's more patriotic. So when I told you earlier, Nero said patriotism is to hate black people. You disagree with that, but right now you're literally saying we celebrate a holiday, something that didn't even fucking happen, but we can't celebrate when a black man fought to get civility in America. That's what you're telling me right now.
But that's not what Martin Luther King Day represents. It doesn't represent a black man fighting for civility in America. It's Martin Luther King's birthday. And Martin Luther King was a Marxist. So it's like half of America don't even know the real deal about Martin Luther King, which is a whole nother topic. But that's why Martin Luther King Day is even a holiday. It's because Martin Luther King was a Marxist, and the U.S. government needed to make a martyr out of Martin Luther King in order to get black people on the Marxist agenda. But that's a whole other topic, which is probably too deep for this conversation we're having.
We can talk about that some other time.
Yeah, that's too deep for the conversation we're having right now. But what I'm saying is, like, we can't pretend that Martin Luther King, it's not like this was like Martin Luther King wasn't a politician. We're talking about the story of America. We're not now, whether that story is factual or not, it may not be factual, right? Maybe Columbus didn't discover America, but what Columbus's discovery did mark was the beginning of what would be America today. His discovery was the beginning of that.
So
the fucking Vikings came to North America, but the Vikings didn't establish the beginnings of what would be the United States. That's not what they established.
Meaning the Vikings didn't come here and...
No, they didn't come here to establish a new nation.
Let's talk about what Columbus did. Since we're speaking about Columbus, you're referring to Columbus. Right. What Columbus did was go to a country, enslave the people there, and I know you're fine with stuff like that. It's conquest. If they won, they won. We got bigger guns.
Where is the evidence that Columbus enslaved anybody?
Where is the evidence that Columbus enslaved anybody? All right,
who did Columbus enslave? Where do we hear that? I didn't know Columbus was a slave trader. I never heard that.
Columbus' quest for gold on Christopher Columbus' second voyage to the Americas. He enslaved the indigenous people and forced them to mine for gold. On his first day in the New World, he ordered 6 of the natives to be seized, writing in his journal that he believed they would be good servants.
So you're saying so hold on. You said 6. Did you just say 6 people?
No. That's the first day. That's the first day he got there. He enslaved the indigenous people and forced them to mine for gold. Then they mentioned his first day. Columbus started that whole...
Just said 6 indigenous people. Like you're making it sound like he enslaved all the indigenous people. He enslaved 6 people, right?
Hold on.
Is that what happened?
Just some facts about Columbus and what he did to the island of Hispaniola, because I don't know how he doesn't know about this, but I'm going to read them off to you. Columbus's role in initiating slavery. Direct kidnapping. On his first voyage, Columbus took captive Native Americans back to Spain, establishing a pattern of enslavement. Mass slave raids. By 1495, Columbus ordered large-scale raids, rounding up 1,600 Tainos and sending hundreds to Spain as slaves, while distributing the rest to colonists. Forced labor systems. Spanish colonists established systems like encomienda, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, forcing Tainos to work in gold mines and plantations under deadly conditions, a precursor to the chattel slavery that would later define the country. Now, let's not forget the consequences for the Taino as well. Consequences for the Taino: demographic collapse. The combination of forced labor, disease, and violence led to the near extinction of the Taino people on Hispaniola within decades. Foundation for African slavery. The decimation of the native population prompted Europeans to import enslaved Africans, transforming Hispaniola to a highly profitable slave colony, especially under French rule as Saint-Domingue.
I'm just trying to understand.
You talked about what Columbus started. What Columbus started was European people. So you're right. Maybe it is patriotism. It's patriotism to go to a different country and enslave the colored people there, which is what I'm saying. Nero's kind of right. Patriotism is, we're going to go somewhere, take that shit over, and enslave the colored people that live there. That's what it sounds like to me. That's the colored people there, which is what I'm saying. Nero's kind of right. Patriotism is, we're going to go somewhere, take that shit over, and enslave the colored people that live there. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like. Like everything you're saying right now sounds more and more like patriotism involves doing fuck shit to colored people. That's what it sounds like to me.
If that's how you want to interpret it, and I understand
you said
why
go off his legacy. His legacy is doing that. That's what he did there.
I understand why you're interpreting it that way because from your perspective, that's what it is. But what I'm saying is, the people who are patriotic, that's not what they. So again, if you're one of those people who's anti-American, right? I can understand why you would see it that way.
I'm not anti-American at all.
All right. I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying I can understand why someone who is anti-American would see it that way. But I'm saying is, people who are patriotic don't view it that way. They don't see Columbus as an enslaver. Their image of Columbus is as somebody who established the foundation of what would be America today. So that's why they would consider it patriotic. Now, again, Martin Luther King Day is his birthday, and Martin Luther King wasn't even in the government. So it's like to compare Martin Luther King to Columbus.
Columbus was in the government? Columbus was in the government?
Columbus was an explorer. Like, you're comparing someone who explored and discovered new land.
And discovered new land, not even in America. And hold on, Nick. I'm sorry for cutting you off. My bad. But you're really trying to justify a man that never even touched this fucking...
I'm not justifying anything. I'm simply explaining to you what it is. I'm explaining to you why it is what it is. Your interpretation of it is that, oh, it's just to slight black people. I'm giving you a different interpretation. If you don't like it, I mean, you can take the interpretation and leave it. But at the end of the day, that's how people view it. Most patriotic Americans don't view Columbus as an enslaver. They view him as the guy who discovered America. And so when most people think of Columbus Day, they're thinking of the guy who discovered America. Martin Luther King wasn't a person who discovered land. He wasn't an explorer. He wasn't even in government. Martin Luther King was a reverend. That's what it is. He was a reverend. And Martin Luther King was killed, and he was a Marxist, and that's why they gave him a holiday. But that has nothing to do with the United States of America as a foundation. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, I hear what you're saying, but you sound like you know what that sounds like when you say what they feel like. They feel like this is what Columbus represents. They feel like he represents patriotism, right? They feel like that. That sounds like just like the same logic that red people niggas say about your feelings don't fucking matter. The facts are the nigga was an enslaver that never came to fucking America. Those are the facts, right? Can you agree to that? Yes or no?
Sure, I can agree to that.
Okay.
However, my overall point is that people can be multiple things at once. Is that true or not?
100%. So he didn't discover America. So that's not one thing he was.
All right, I'm going to give you a perfect example. Which may seem like a silly example, but DMX. DMX to our community, right? To black people, DMX is one of the greatest artists of all time. But a nigga could say DMX was a crackhead, a fucking crackhead, a woman abuser, right? And they could say he was a fucking violent thug. Now, would that be true to some people who don't have an emotional connection to DMX? Obviously. But our community, because DMX is part of our community, we would never frame DMX as a crackhead. We would frame him as a God-fearing man who was troubled, who was a deep artist. And rightfully so, but he was also a crackhead. So that's all I'm saying. So yes, it may be true that he was an enslaver, and black people are going to view Columbus solely as an enslaver.
There you go. That's my point right there.
Which is why I said I understand why you would frame it that way. Because from your point of view, you're only seeing Columbus through one lens. However, I'm speaking for people who see Columbus through the lens you see him through, and for people who don't see him through the lens. I'm speaking from both sides.
Okay.
So now, for the people who don't see Columbus through the lens that you see Columbus through, because you got to remember, black people are 13% of the population. Black people are the people who are the most sensitive about slavery. Even though we're not the only ones to experience it, we're the ones who are most sensitive about it. And why are we the most sensitive about it? Because of what I told you earlier.
Hold on.
Hold on, let me finish my sentence. Because of how we were educated about slavery.
I understand what he was trying to explain to me about what the perception is. And I don't think he was trying to understand what I was trying to say about if that's the perception in this country, then patriotism means exactly what I was trying to say. It means that patriotism, because the majority of the people living in this country are white and they run the government, they find the person who started European colonization of the West as a patriotic act. Granted, I understand if it wasn't for Columbus getting to the Americas, the Caribbean, then though not impossible that anyone else would have came over, he opened the door. He set that spark. However, if that's what we consider patriotic for someone who did not step on land here, why can't we also recognize that what Martin Luther King Jr. did is also patriotic? Martin Luther King Jr. was a driving force in America fulfilling his promise of equality. So it's just odd to me that he's not understanding that.
Black people were educated to believe that slavery is something that uniquely happened to them. And so whenever we hear about slavery, we feel personally slighted about it because we think it only happened to us and indigenous people. But the reality is slavery is not unique to black people. Slavery happened to all people on earth. And because I acknowledge that, I don't feel personally slighted by slavery because I know it's not something that only happened to me. I know it's something that happened to everyone.
Okay. Now, I hear everything that you're saying and all that, bro. I cannot view someone as a reason to celebrate patriotism in my country if they didn't do shit in my country. Did they start the discovery? No. There were people discovering the. Hold on.
Oh, that's a reasonable opinion.
Oh, that's not a reasonable opinion. It's a fact. We just mentioned the
No, it's a
Vikings,
reasonable
Francisco
opinion for you to
Pizarro.
have.
Huh?
No, but my point is that it's a reasonable opinion for you to have, but you're not the president, so you're not the person making this decision.
So no, I'm getting somewhere. I'm going somewhere.
You know?
You're proving my point in the sense that because we're only 13% of the population and white people make up 70% of the population, if to them enslaving black people because they understand that plenty of people have been enslaved, but they're the majority in this country, you're proving my point that patriotism to them is basically saying we're okay with fuck shit happening to colored people. Like you said,
Rich,
they don't even view it as that. They view him as the discoverer
Rich,
and all that.
Believe me, Rich, if white people wanted us to be slaves, bro, we would be.
So just to sum it all up, we view Columbus as the patriot and view his actions as patriotic. Why? Because he began what would later become the African slave trade to the actual America because he started it over in the Caribbean. And this is what's happening to the black conservatives in America who are telling us that we're being indoctrinated when they lack the knowledge of actual history that happened. To tell somebody, oh, well, the perception, the feeling, that's crazy when there's actual facts. There's actual facts. I'm talking to another man who doesn't believe in feelings and all that. But when it comes to political things, because he needs to find a way to make it work for him, he'll go with feelings. Fuck facts now. But it's bananas. It's crazy. At the end of the day, I think it's like spitting in your own people's face to say that they are American or for them to believe that they're an American, and any accomplishments that they have are always viewed as less than any other person who's the same skin color as the majority. Personally, I don't care if Martin Luther King Day is a free day at national parks. He made that argument that black people weren't even going to national parks anyway. That's not the point that I was trying to argue with him. And I was trying to make it clear, like, understand what patriotism is in America because they're making it clear to us. If you like this video, please make sure you check out one of my other ones. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'm gonna let y'all next time.